You think you've heard darkness. You haven't met the man they called the Butcher of Rostov, but no butcher ever craved blood like he did. For 12 years, he hunted children in silence, 52 victims, eyes gouged out, tongues bitten off. This is not a horror story. It's history. It's a descent into hell.
Welcome to the Diabolist's lab, where the veil between reality and nightmare is paper thin. Enter if you dare, exit if you can. If this story chills your bones, like, comment, and subscribe. New darkness awaits every week on YouTube and TikTok.
They called him the Butcher of Rostov, but his real name was Andrei Chikatilo. Born in 1936 in a starving, war-ravaged Soviet Ukraine, Chikatilo's early years were soaked in hunger, fear, and silence. Chikatilo was a frail child, wet the bed, was bullied, humiliated. His childhood was shaped by shame. His father went to war, came back a broken man. His mother, strict, violent, abusive, cold. She often beat him while telling him stories of cannibalism and shame, and an invisible wall between himself and everyone else. His older brother, rumored to have been kidnapped and eaten during the Holodomor famine, was never spoken of directly, but the whispers were there, always, whether true or not. That myth followed him, shaping a boy into a monster. As a teenager, he discovered something. That violence excited him. By the 1970s, Chikatilo had become a man who could almost pass for normal. A teacher, a husband, a quiet man with glasses and a strange, stuttering smile. But inside, something monstrous had been growing for decades. In 1978, it finally surfaced. His first known victim was Lena Zakotnova, just 9 years old. He lured her into a shed, pretending he had a toy to show her. Once inside, he attacked her, strangled her, and then he mutilated her body with a knife, post-mortem, in a frenzy so violent that the walls were splashed with blood. When it was over, he threw her into a nearby river like garbage, and for that murder, a mentally disabled janitor was executed for Chikatilo's crime. Andrei walked away, smiling. For the next 12 years, Chikatilo vanished into the Soviet crowd. But by the 1980s, the beast inside him could no longer hide. He would strike again and again. Children, teenagers, women, and people no one would miss, all brutally murdered, mutilated, organs missing, noses cut, nipples bitten. Many had their eyes gouged out. He believed the last image of a person remained in their pupil. He wanted no witnesses. He prowled train stations, bus terminals, parks on the edges of forgotten towns, looking for runaways or the unwanted. The way he killed was never the same. Sometimes he stabbed, sometimes he strangled, sometimes he did things with his teeth. But it was what he did after they were dead that froze the blood of even the most seasoned detectives. He'd remove eyes, slice open stomachs, chew off body parts. He claimed the act of mutilation was what gave him release. Not the killing. It was as if he wasn't just erasing life, he was trying to destroy identity itself. Let's stop here. Let's look closely at one of the most horrifying cases, because even among horror, some moments stand alone. In 1984, Chikatilo encountered 10-year-old Olga Stalmak. She had missed her bus. She was cold, hungry. He offered her food, a place to warm up. She followed. Once inside the forest, he changed. He pounced, held her down. He bit through her tongue, slashed her torso open, gouged out her eyes, and tore flesh from her body with his teeth. He left her there, mutilated beyond recognition, and when they found her, her own mother fainted from the sight. In 1990, Svetlana Korostik, she was only 22. They met near a train station. She never made it home. Her body was found days later, nude, slashed. Her uterus had been removed, her nipples severed and placed next to her head. 13-year-old Andrei Kravchenko, lured from a marketplace, his body was so mutilated it took 2 days to identify him. 43 stab wounds, genitals removed, tongue gone. Andrei watched the investigation unfold from the crowd, smiling. One investigator fainted, another resigned, but the bodies kept appearing, over and over again. Chikatilo kept going, always using the Soviet system's weaknesses, a country that didn't believe serial killers existed. In 1990, after years of failure, a profiler named Bukhanovsky was brought in. He created the first Soviet psychological profile, and it worked. In 1990, Chikatilo was finally arrested. A surveillance operation caught him leaving a wooded area known for murders, his shoes covered in blood. At first, silent, but when alone with Bukhanovsky, he confessed. Andrei Chikatilo killed at least 52 people, possibly more. For over a decade, he evaded capture. Because the Soviet system refused to admit that serial killers existed, it didn't fit the narrative. It wasn't possible. What followed was one of the most chilling confessions in modern criminal history. He spoke of his crimes not with guilt, but with detail, with pleasure. He even reenacted them, sometimes with a smirk. At his trial, he ranted, stripped naked, laughed and screamed, exposed himself, the court, in horror. In 1994, a single bullet to the back of the head ended the life of Andrei Chikatilo, but the darkness he unleashed still echoes. Darkness doesn't always hide. Sometimes it invites you in.
Some crimes become legend. Others rot beneath the surface. Some killers, you understand, not justify, but you see the path, the wounds, the warps, the spiral into violence. But Chikatilo, he's different. He was a ghost wearing skin. He lived in the cracks, between order and collapse, between silence and screams. Because even with the trauma, the dysfunction, the Soviet collapse, his crimes feel inhuman. What disturbs me most isn't just what he did, it's how long he got away with it. A system that denied monsters existed, let one flourish. We like to think killers are chaotic, obvious, but Chikatilo was meticulous. He planned, he waited, and more than anything, he blended in. Teachers knew him, co-workers, neighbors, no one saw it. We imagine evil wears horns, but sometimes it teaches your kids math, and those eyes he gouged out. I think he saw himself in them, a reflection he couldn't bear. There's a moment during his confession where he says, "I am a mistake of nature, a mad beast." And the more you listen, the more you realize he believed it. There was no ideology, no grand motive, just compulsion, an unstoppable decaying hunger for pain. What's weird too is how he passed as ordinary, a teacher, a husband, a man on the train with plastic bags and a vacant stare. He could be anyone. And that's the horror that lingers. Not the bodies, not even the crimes, but the silence. Because for years, the system protected him, refused to believe someone like him could exist in their utopia. And that blindness cost dozens of lives. I think about Olga, 10 years old, trusting, following a stranger into the trees. I think about her mother, collapsing at the morgue, and I wonder, how many Chikatilos are still out there? Men who don't look like monsters, who blend in, who hide behind systems, jobs, families, men who only show their true face to the dying. Chikatilo is gone, but what he represents, that cold, unfathomable evil, it hasn't vanished. It's waiting, just out of sight, behind a smile, on a train, in a crowd, and when it surfaces again, will we see it? Will we believe it, or will we look away? The butcher of Rostov wasn't just a killer. He was a failure of justice, a whisper that became a scream, and proof that even the darkest monsters
can wear a smile.